I'm Jared. This whole week we've been talking about time, and today we talk about how do we determine what are the most important things in our life. There's a pretty famous story that was made famous by a guy named Stephen Covey. He's a time management guru, but he tells the story of a professor who in her college class puts a jar, and she starts to put these big rocks in the jar. And she asks the class, is the jar full? And the class, of course, is like, well, yeah. But then she starts to put in smaller rocks and then asks again, is the jar full? And they're kind of onto her, I think, at this point. So they say, yes. Well, then she adds sand and she fills the jar up to the top. And what's the point of that story? You would think that Stephen Covey, a time management guru, would say, if you really are careful, you can pack your life full, but that's not it. The point is, if you start with sand and you start with just small stones, you cannot fit the big things into the jar. You got to start with the big things to get them done. So what are your big things? What are your rocks that you would say are important? My guess is yours are pretty similar to mine. If you're watching a video like this, you have a desire to grow in your relationship with God. That's one of my rocks. Grow in my relationship with my spouse or other person in your life. Grow in my relationship with my kids, my friends. I want to be healthy. I want to be financially stable. These are things that matter to me. My guess is if someone asked you, like, what are your big rocks? And you literally had to write on a rock and say, this is what's most important to me. I don't think it would say, check fantasy football scores. I don't think it would say, like, look up Lamar Odom and the Kardashians. I don't think it would say, burn the day on Facebook. Could you imagine yourself writing that out? That stuff's sand. Sand's great. You can make a castle, but you don't build a house on sand. You don't build a life on sand. You don't build anything on sand. You build it on a rock. You build it on the rock. Take a minute now. I mean it. Write down what are the most important things in your life and decide, am I spending my life on rocks or am I spending it on sand? Jesus gives you this encouragement. He says, everyone who hears these words of mine and puts them into practice is like a wise man. He's talking about his word, is like a wise man who built his house on a rock.